Alright, Roman history is my kryptonite because every other character is super famous and larger than life, and I've already had to blow up the script once, so I'm gonna try not to get distracted, but I make no promises. This video was made possible by NordVPN. Find out more at the end. Okay, there's this family, the Ptolemies. They've been playing screw, marry, kill with each other for 200 years, and also they're in charge of Egypt. And every time they pick kill, they have to go to Rome for help because they're super in debt to Rome because of all the killing. Ptolemy X is so in debt, he has to offer all of Egypt as collateral. First, Rome just splits it up, but then this guy Crassus, rich guy, Caesar's bud, he thinks it's time for Rome to yoink Egypt once and for all. Cleopatra's dad is in charge now, and he tries to bribe the Senate by going into more debt. The Egyptians are rightly peeved and tell him to sod off. He takes Cleopatra, who's stupidly educated and speaks 10 languages because of course she does, and they crash with Rome's top general and mega Chad Pompey. He helps them get Egypt back, but now they're in even more debt, and Rome forgot to take its army back, so now there's 2,500 dudes with weapons who'd better get paid to keep the pharaoh safe. And then Cleopatra's dad dies, and it's all her problem now. Well, and her brother husband, but she wears the pants in this sibling marriage. Brother husband's not happy with that, so he takes over and kicks Cleopatra out of Egypt. Cleopatra begins kickstarting an army, so he goes to Rome for help. Unfortunately, Rome's got its own dumpster fire going on right now with Pompey and Caesar fighting, so he's gotta pick a side. Even though the Ptolemies and Pompey go way back, he thinks Caesar's gonna win, so he invites Pompey over, ganks him, and gives Caesar his head. And Caesar is pissed. Caesar makes Cleopatra and her brother play nice, and Cleopatra's cool with that. In fact, she takes the opportunity to meet Caesar one night in private, and Caesar is cool with that. But Ptolemy is not cool with that, and stirs up a riot that Caesar has to deal with. So Caesar tells him, "I swear to Jove I will turn this chariot around!" But Ptolemy's still not happy because Cleopatra's on his side of the empire, so he picks a fight with Caesar twice, and Caesar tries his darndest not to kill him, but eventually the kid drowns himself trying to run away. All in all, a hell of a good deal for Cleopatra. Now her brother's gone, she has a son with Caesar who's gonna unite Rome and Egypt, Caesar's gonna invade Parthia, and he's dead. Cleopatra stays in Rome a while trying to rally support for her son Caesarion, but unfortunately, he's 3, and the Romans aren't super stoked about giving power to an Egyptian woman. Especially not when these two beefcakes are in town fighting off Caesar's assassins. Okay, 2 can play at that game. Cleopatra returns to Egypt and kills her second brother husband so she can make Caesarion a real pharaoh. And then one of the guys who stabbed her lover to death sends her a letter saying, "Hey, no hard feelings, right? Could really use an army. Did I mention we're fighting your biggest rivals?" She sends an army to fight him, but unfortunately it gets intercepted before meeting with the main force. So Cleopatra hops on a ship and leads her navy to Greece to fight beside Antony and Octavian. But unfortunately she gets held up by bad weather and didn't show up until the battle was over. So that claim to power in Rome is looking real shaky right now. Until she gets a letter from Mark Antony saying, "Hey, how you doing?" And Cleopatra tells him,
"Come on over. My parents aren't alive."
And they get down to business. By which I mean they begin consolidating power and restructuring the East, but yes, Cleopatra's pregnant again. And then Antony jaunts off to stop the Parthians from attacking, and then he jaunts over to Rome to marry Octavian's sister. Because his last wife kind of declared war on Octavian to put Antony in charge, but they're bros, I'm sure it's nothing. Anyway, it's all cool because he and Cleopatra meet up a few years later, and she's like,
"Hey, here are those kids you never met."
And he's like, "Cool." And they get down to business. Cleopatra takes control of most of the East, but they're about to have a lot more land soon once they conquer Parthia with the largest army ever fielded against it. Well, Cleopatra has to go back to Egypt to give birth not in a war zone. Their biggest ally defects to Parthia, and Parthia pulls a Russia and starves out that big army. Following that debacle, I guess they decided it was a good time to pick a fight with Octavian because they take like a quarter of Rome and give it directly to Cleopatra's kids and call them kings. And that is never gonna fly. Plus, Antony divorces Octavian's sister, so Octavian blames Cleopatra's bewitching guile for the downfall of Western civilization, which is part of why most interpretations today look less like this and more like this. So they're in a tight spot, but Antony's got a long history of military success, and Cleopatra controls the area where all the food comes from, so there's no way they can lose. And now that she's not pregnant or stuck in a storm, she offers to lead the army, which turns out to be costly.
You can't take Cleopatra. You're just gonna prove Octavian right. On the other hand, she is giving us a boatload of money and the boats to put it on. And she has proven to be a competent leader thus far.
Honey, I think you should stay home and protect Egypt.
Honey, I am protecting Egypt.
She can stay.
Well, that's me out. Time to see what Octavian's up to.
And things go from bad to worse. Antony wants to blockade Italy, and who knows how that might have gone, but Cleopatra wants to play defense and keep their army in Greece, where they ultimately faced the enemy in a decisive battle. And if you're thinking that sounds familiar, like very familiar, well, this time they fought on the water when they were ultimately defeated. So they split up, Cleopatra raises some more troops by pretending everything's fine, but it becomes clear that their dreams are quite thoroughly dashed. She tries to run away, but Octavian's guys burn down her fleet. But like a white knight riding in from the north, Antony arrives with his fleet and they desert him and he kills himself. So Cleopatra decides to get the last laugh by burning herself alive with all her treasure, just so that Octavian can't get no satisfaction. Unfortunately, Octavian's guys got to her first, so there went the treasure, but not to be outdone, she got herself with a snake a few days later. Or a poison needle or something, I don't know, but a snake's just so dramatic. Hey, guess what? What? If you don't want the bad men finding your location and burning your ships, you need to hide your steps with NordVPN. I did it. I'm a real YouTuber now. No, but for real, if you don't know how a VPN can help you, basically, if you're in the US and you want to listen to the dulcet tones of David Attenborough or get into that Prohibition-era anime that's only available in Italy. Italy? Really? All you need to do is fire up your VPN and bam, instant access. Just, if you're sharing someone else's account, you should probably tell them why someone's logging in from Slovenia at 4 in the morning so they don't change the password. Plus, if you're stuck inside using the internet as much as I've been in the past month or so, it'll give you that extra mile of protection that for $3.49 a month might be worth it, because the last thing you want to deal with right now is the wrong person getting a hold of your information. If you think that might help you, you can go to nordvpn.com/JackRackam and get 70% off with the code JackRackam, and with a 30-day money-back guarantee, you've effectively got a free trial. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all after we pass 100,000.